Hey guys, this is one of those videos that I really never wanted to make, and that's why I've been gone for like a month, maybe over a month, because it seemed like the minute that I made this video, it was finally real. I guess you guys can probably tell from that Trek is not coming back. Trek has been retired officially. I took him back to the organization. Sorry, somebody's mowing out there. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But I took Trek back like the last week in April, I guess. It was hard, for sure. And then I got to go and see him a couple days later, and he barely cared that I was there, which hurt even more. So, I talked, and I know a lot of people in the comments are hating on the organization that he's with, but it's not their fault. Do I wish that they had caught his allergy problem a lot sooner, and so that I wouldn't have to deal with having a dog for 9 months and then not having one? Yeah, I would. That would have been great if I had been matched, because the only problem with Trek was his allergies were so bad, or his skin problems or whatever. We don't know if they're allergies or not. His skin problems were so bad that he wouldn't listen to commands. He wouldn't want to go out. He wouldn't want to work. Which is very frustrating, because when the allergies weren't very bad, he loved to work. He loved everything about working. And so it's hard when your dog probably wants to work, but they feel so crappy that they have no desire to do the things that they normally would be very excited about. So his lack of interest with working, coupled with the fact that I got really frustrated and nervous, and I wasn't trusting him because I didn't trust that he would be able to make the right decisions, because he was so itchy, and that's not something that is my fault. That's not something that is Trek's fault, but it was there. So those things, coupled with the fact that if I wanted to solve his problems, he'd have to be on a medication that was very, very expensive, that I, at this point in my life, cannot pay for. All those three things pretty much cemented the fact that he would be at least retiring from me, if not retiring completely. We have since decided that he probably does not qualify. They, at one point, were talking about giving him to somebody else, because he is only 3 and he does at times really want to work. So if there was somebody that would want to pay for the medication, but then people with disabilities shouldn't be expected, at least in my opinion, to take care of a dog that also has physical problems, I guess. So he's been officially retired as a service dog. He, last I heard, and I haven't really been keeping up to date with him just because it's hard, I kind of wanted to do that clean break. It was hard enough going and dropping him off and then going and seeing him a few days later to discuss our options. And he didn't care. He barely noticed that I was in the room, which was very frustrating, because we've been together for 9 months, and then when he took his 2-month or month and a half long break in February, when I came back to pick him up, he was so excited. And then this time he was gone for a week, or maybe even 5 days maybe. And he could not care less if I was in the room or not. He just didn't care. And that kind of made it, in one hand, easier to say goodbye because I knew that he wasn't going to miss me. But it was also really hard because we built a bond together for a long time, and it just kind of felt like he wasn't as invested as I was, I guess. It is what it is. Dogs live in the moment, so I can't fault him. It was just kind of hard. A lot of people said a lot of hate about the organization and what they did, but the organization is nonprofit. They give the dogs to us for free, and they kind of make the decisions. They own the dogs. I didn't own Trek. I used Trek, and I paid for his food and his medical bills and things, but I didn't pay for him. I didn't pay for his training. They do that out of the kindness of their hearts. And so I didn't feel that I had a lot of power to kind of dictate how things were going to go. And I knew that they would ultimately be making the best decision for both me and Trek. So it is what it is. So where do I go now? I've not had Trek for a month now, and it's been hard. Some of the things that the organization said to me, I currently live with my parents because I'm in college, and so when I'm at college, I live in the dorms, and when I'm not at college, I live here at home. And they didn't really like that. And I know my family had a lot of problems respecting the boundaries of service dogs. A lot of people say that service dogs, you shouldn't, the family members shouldn't pet Trek, and if Trek goes up to them for attention, they shouldn't give him that attention because then he would start to look for attention in other places. I don't know if that's 100% true or not, that I should be the only one to have contact with Trek, but that's kind of what this organization is saying, and my family had a lot of problems with that. And the organization kind of said that they don't think that I should get another dog right now because I'm currently living with my family and they weren't respecting the organization's rules, and that I would need to kind of mature a little bit and be able to give my family strict rules and strict guidelines that they would have to follow, and then I would have to enforce them follow. Otherwise, they didn't think that I was mature enough to have the dog. If I couldn't even stand up to my own family, how would I be able to stand up to others and crazy people out on the streets? I don't really know. They kind of were just like, you need to mature a little bit. I think you need to take some time off. You've had 2 dogs that haven't worked out, and we want to make sure that the next dog works out, because it pretty much sounds like if I get another dog, that would be my last chance. Which is scary because I don't feel like my first 2 dogs, the organization said that these 2 dogs, their problems were not necessarily my fault. I could have dealt with them better, but they weren't necessarily my 100% fault, and that they want to make sure that the next dog works out. But, I think the dogs that I was given both had really, really strong problems from the beginning that I don't know how they would want me to react differently, Like my first dog, she bit me. And yeah, I wasn't really enjoying having her before she bit me because she was trying to attack my rabbits. She bit my dad. You know, there are things that should have been caught way earlier than they were. And then Trek, he worked out really well, but from the beginning, he's had skin issues. So shouldn't they have caught that? And I talked to the guy that fostered his brother for a while, and he said that his brother also had allergy issues. So it's clear that this whole litter probably has allergy problems that should have been caught, and they probably shouldn't have been placed with people. A lot of organizations I know have really high standards for their dogs and for the health of their dogs and the temperament of their dogs. And I just don't know if these slipped through the cracks or what. And they've placed hundreds of dog teams that have worked out fabulously. It just feels like it didn't work out well with me, and I'm frustrated about that, I guess. So, and don't leave hate in the comments about the organization. I'm frustrated with them because of a frustrating situation. They didn't do anything necessarily wrong. It's been really hard, and they kind of want me to wait years from what I can understand. And that makes sense. A lot of people I know are going to say, why don't you own or train a dog? Or why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I'm an education student, I'm going to be a teacher. And this whole next year, I'm going to be in and out of classrooms, in and out of different districts, in and out of different teachers, a couple of days a week. And that means that I'm either going to have to leave that dog in a kennel for up to 12 hours a day because school starts at 7:30 and they can place me anywhere within an hour driving radius, which means that I'd have to leave at, like, let's conservatively say by 6:15 in the morning, and I would have to go to school. Schools usually close around 3. The school that I was at last semester closed at 3:30. Most teachers have to stay later, so I'd be staying later, doing more. So let's say I stay in the classroom until 4, and then I'm back home maybe by 5:15 if I have to stop in, get something for dinner or whatever. So then the dog's stuck in their kennel from 6 in the morning to 5 at night, which is almost a 12-hour day, which is not fair to the dog. It's not fair to me. And a lot of you are going to say, why don't you just take the dog with you? But if I'm going to be in and out of, I would take the dog if I was at the same teaching post in the same district with the same teacher the entire semester, but I'm not. And I would have to get express permission, and bringing a dog in with a bunch of special ed students is going to disrupt their day. It's not going to be something that they can just ignore or move on from. And the organization doesn't want anybody else but me touching Trek, so I couldn't even be like, okay, you can all pet Trek once and then you're going to be done. So at this point, I think I'm just going to wait at least a year, if not a year and a half, until I finish with student teaching to get another dog, I guess. I know I had talked about getting a wheelchair. I did get a wheelchair. I'm not very happy with it. It's a Invacare. It's pretty much the epitome of the old lady wheelchair. It's got the big footrests. I can do a video on it later. It's very heavy. I think it's like 40 pounds. I can't get it in and out of my car. I can barely wheel it by myself for like 5 minutes. It's so heavy. I'm expecting a call hopefully today from the wheelchair company to tell them that it's not working out, but I don't know what's going to work out better. It's been a really hard time. I didn't think I was going to pass my finals because I had to drop off track the week before finals. I dropped track off, and then, the week before finals. So, finals were really hard. I didn't want to study. I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was and probably still am pretty depressed. I had no motivation to do anything. I mostly just wanted to sit in my room and cry, and you can't do that during finals. Thankfully, I pulled out all A's in my classes, but it was definitely, I could have done better on those tests at the end. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's not great, but what can you do, I guess? So, I don't know. There's no easy answer to any of this. Right now, all I want is to go and get another dog, any other dog. But then I know in my heart that it's not the best decision and it's not the best time. And I know eventually it'll get better. But right now I'm really struggling. So that's where I'm at. Have a good day, guys.